It's easy to get lost in the vastness of space. There's only yourself, your ship, your crew.
You really want to head back out there, huh?
Hi guys, and welcome to my review for Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek this year is heading into its 50th anniversary. A great accomplishment for a franchise of its stature, originally starting off as a television series starring William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy as your couple of principals, with Forrest DeKelly and quite a few other people. And obviously we've had some great Star Trek movies from the original cast going through the 80s into the early 90s, and then the next generation coming through, again starting as a television series and then entering the film sphere again. And of course in recent times we got the reboot, the 2009 reboot, directed by J.J. Abrams, and then followed up by Into Darkness. That first time I saw that 2009 Abrams movie, I was blown away. In the follow-up, I didn't think it was quite as strong, but I still really enjoyed it. I do have problems with the twist of using Khan again, but again, it was not quite the direction I thought they would have been going for that movie. Where in Star Trek Beyond, they're finally on the 5-year mission. This is the film I think we probably wanted from the second outing of JJ's movies, but instead we've got Justin Lin giving us probably a more traditional Star Trek movie. In some ways not. Because if you look back at the Star Trek movies, they really were quite different from the television series. Where I think this film is actually embodies a lot more of the original 1960s show than maybe the movies did up to this point. They really had some fun here. I think Simon Pegg obviously took the writing duties here, and he really ran with it, really giving us clues, going back into the history of Star Trek, and giving us pretty much what we think of Star Trek. When we think of Star Trek, it's pretty much encompassed, embodied in this film. And I think they did a really good job of it. You know, you got Justin Lin, he sort of made his name doing the Fast and the Furious films, and you see his flavour interjected into this with the action scenes and the space battles and that sort of stuff. That really works really nice. But the really standout here is the use of the characters and the use of the storytelling with them. What they do here is they actually split them away from each other into pairings, and you really get a good sense of each of the characters' different dynamics. It gives them some different interactions with characters we may not have seen so much of in the recent movies. Like you get Spock and McCoy teaming up, and they have to try again. They're trying to all sort of regather together, and then you also get Scotty by himself, who comes across this new female character, who's a very strong character, interjecting another strong female character, which they probably really need. They really need in Star Trek, because really they've only had Uhura the whole time. So that interjects that. We've got Uhura and Mr. Sulu working together, and then so this really starts to give all the characters a bit of something to do, where sometimes it's just really the submarine style ship battle movie. They're all doing their part, but they're not really focusing on the stories, not really the focus of them. We hear they do a really good job of giving them all moments to shine, and then ultimately bringing them back together and as a team, and then having to work through the issues and the problems. And it's really good in terms of all that. And I think they've really done a really good job here at nailing the tone. It nails JJ's tone, it nails traditional Star Trek tone, and that's a really hard thing to do, I think. And they also got some hints here. If you know the TV series like Deep Space Nine, they've got a similar type thing going on here with a deep space station, which becomes a main sort of hub for the Federation. So that I got that there was a hint towards that. It wasn't called a deep space anything, but I think that was the general theme with that place. I think it was a throwback to that. So hopefully when we get Brian Fuller's television series next year, they'll build on what they've done here and interject that again into the television, because the television is really strong. You know, Next Generation really hit its stride later in its run, but then it was followed up by Voyager, which I think is probably my favourite Star Trek series, is Voyager. Of course, the classics are always something to go back to and watch. So I really think you should go out and see it. If you're a Trekkie, no question you're going to go see it. But I think a general audience, like a general audience have like the 2009 Star Trek, will really enjoy this too. It's really fun. There's a lot of energy there. They really utilise the Enterprise really well. Even though in the trailers we see, again, the Enterprise gets a bit of battle damage, but they really still utilise it even after that, which is really nice to see. And I think they've done a really good job here. The story is quite simple. The villain is well played by Idris Elba, but again, sometimes the villain's motivations aren't quite clear, but you do, by the end of the movie, get a very good indication of why this character was doing what he was doing and his motivations. And it's really a classical, very science fiction story. I really think you will enjoy Star Trek Beyond, even if you're a Trekkie, even if you're not. Give it a go. And if you are a Trekkie enough fan, you'll definitely see some nods there to films in the past. There's a scene in there with McCoy and Kirk, which is very reminiscent of a scene which is in Wraith of Khan. And that's really probably a good indication of how respectful they have been to the source material, what's come before, and looking also forward to what they can do going forward. Of course, this is 3 years in on their 5-year mission. There's still more stories to tell, plenty of time to do it. And also, on a last note, I'd just like to say they did a really nice job of paying homage to Leonard Nimoy in this film, because he did pass away within the last couple of years since they've been in production of this movie. And more tragically, in the last month or so, Anton died tragically in a sort of a freak accident, and they dedicate this movie to Leonard Nimoy and for Anton. They've already come out and said recently this week that they are not going to recast the role of Chekhov. They will just work him into the story. Maybe he'll go off and work on another starship somewhere. But very sad news that was a few weeks ago, and will be missed in the film community, since he's one of those young up-and-comers that could have really went anywhere. He was in a film called Green Room. Actually had Patrick Stewart in it, which was very good, independent film. That came out this year too. So that is my review for Star Trek Beyond, and I think you should all go see it. It's a very good film, not just a very good Star Trek film, but a very good film. Alright guys, that's me, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.